Hello and welcome back to the game room. You know what I love? Video games. You know what I love? Talking about games. And it seems like a lot of people these days who cover games seem to hate them, or at least the people who play them. Well, that's not me, and that's not the 5,505 of you beautiful people checking out this video here today. We have hit a new milestone, over 5,500 subscribers. Thank you guys so much. It's nice to see that I can put out an Xbox 360 video out again after I haven't done that many recently, and it did really well. So thank you guys, and to the new people, welcome. I actually enjoyed doing the video about those Xbox 360 oddities so much, as well as the comments you guys left of things I did not know about, that I went on a bit of a shopping spree. So either next week or the week after that, get ready for some more oddities, but that's not why you're here today. So today, which also, happy Halloween this week. We're not doing a Halloween themed episode this year. Last year I did terrible. I don't know what it is. The Halloween spooky type stuff on this channel have never really added up, but we'll talk about that a little bit more later. Today, because luckily, in my opinion, the Xbox 360 prices have come down significantly from the FOMO of last year. And since it's been a while since I've done a video on the 360, I thought today, let's talk about 10 games that, hey, they're pretty affordable now. They're pretty fun on the 360. They're not overblown and talked to death. So I just wanted to give you guys some suggestions for some hidden gems that you should check out for the 360 and pick up right now before they go up in price again. So if that sounds all right, let's check it out.
There's a lot of games out there, some of which you've never even heard of. That's where I come in. My name's Luke. I've been playing games since the age of 2, and I have no life.
This is my game room.
All right, the first game we're going to talk about here is one that skyrocketed back in March of last year. This was kind of one of the, along with Fatal Inertia and those kind of ilk, this was a game that was like a $10, $15 game and then chopped to a $200 game. Now it's back down to around a $50, $40 game, which is probably where it should have been anyways. But I picked it up, played it, and actually thought it was pretty decent. It's not a great game. A lot of these games are going to be flawed, but that's kind of what you're looking for when you're talking about these unsung games on the system. And we're talking about Infernal Hell's Vengeance. So this was one of the later games I picked up. As far as, I think I got this after the Xbox 360 store closed. It was not around $200, but I definitely spent more on it than I would have had I waited till now. I think I got it for maybe 70 or 80, though to be honest, I haven't checked on the prices all that much, but I feel like it's around 40, 50 bucks. What it is, it's a third-person action game. It's also a very early Xbox 360 release. So one of the cool things about early Xbox 360 games is that the kind of the universality of how the control schemes for those games work were not in place. So you would not always have everything feeling like Call of Duty or like Horizon Zero Dawn or God of War. Or this, you know how the game's going to control before you play it. You know what the right thumbstick's going to do. Back when the 360 first came out, the dual thumbsticks was not completely used all the time. I know they had the C-stick on the GameCube. They had the two analog sticks for the DualShock on the PS2, but they largely weren't used in the way that they started to try and use them at the beginning of the 360 era. I know Alone in the Dark did this a little bit, but they would have this in the game where you would flick the right stick to do a dive roll. And then the storyline in this game is a big heaven and hell type thing. You are playing as an agent of the underworld. The story's kind of all over the place, but zany enough to keep you there, as well as the jank was sort of, favorable jank, if that makes any sense. You control this guy that has these fire type abilities, not like you do in Infamous Second Son, but just all around, as well as you can use weapon play too. It's just one of those things that I enjoyed my time with it. I enjoyed playing it. I remember when I spoke about it on the channel, I was very sad that I did not think I could recommend a lot of people picking it up because it was so expensive. But since the prices have gone down, this is a perfect time that, hey, if you want to check this out, I believe it is only on the 360, and it is fun. You know, don't expect, and a lot of these don't expect them to be, you know, Gears of War or Halo 3, but if you like playing games and you want to have a little bit more openness in your catalog, then this is definitely one to check out. I liked it. I think you guys will too. Now, for another cool game that I really enjoyed when I played it, this is actually a one or a co-op two-player game, which back in the day with Gears of War, Halo, couch co-op was a thing and was great. We did not know how well we had it. The internet, Xbox Live made it so much more desirable to have your own screen, but now finding a game that has couch co-op is almost impossible, other than games like Split Fiction and It Takes Two, which can't even be played in single player, are some of the only ones I can think of. Well, this game is called Hunted: The Demon's Forge. And what's funny is that I avoided picking this game up for like $10 or $15 for about 3 to 4 months at my local game store. I saw it there. I saw the cover. There was one copy of it. I think I didn't pick it up because it didn't have a manual. And then finally, at some point, I found it elsewhere, or I got it. And playing it, I assumed it was going to be kind of a standard hack and slash third person game, or something of that, where you have a bow and arrow person, a sword person. It is kind of like that, but it's a little bit more cinematic than I expected. You can switch between either player, but you can't switch between either player completely freely. So there's stations where you can change characters. And then the elf girl has the bow and arrow but less health. The big dude is kind of the one that I preferred playing as. I enjoyed the melee fighter a lot more. It has a little bit more health, but then they have different abilities where they work together and need to go through areas. And it's kind of funny. At the time, I really only thought of Resident Evil 5 as one of those type of games where you would have a partner, but this game is very much in that ilk. It's made by Bethesda too, which back then, Bethesda was putting out some good stuff. And so I really enjoy this game. It's got some pretty cool scaling with the weapons you find, very much in that, but not so overblown as you'll get in later games like Borderlands 2, or in games, say, on the Xbox One, PS4 era. And just dumb fun. If you're playing by yourself, it's fun. If you're playing with a friend, it's fun. Really like that. And that is a game that still is pretty damn affordable, and I would recommend getting it. Speaking of games that are really fun for co-op, this kind of was the whole idea I had behind doing this video, was that someone mentioned this in the comments. And as I know I'm never allowed to respond to the comments, or it hurts me in the algorithm, I figured I'd make a video where I talked about it, and that game is the First Templar. So I've had a couple of people recommend this. I do not come across copies of this all too often. They're only like $10, $20, something like that. And it's similar to Hunted: The Demon Forge, where it's a two-player game, co-op, where it's you and a friend, or you can play it by yourself and that other person tags along with you. And in this, you're playing as either two paladins, two Templars, or one Templar, and then this kind of knight girl here. I didn't get super far into it, so I don't know if there's anyone else, as well as you can tell that there's only the knight girl and the Templar, but then on the back you see the two Templars. I think you can imagine one of those may not stick around for the whole game, especially since that guy's skill tree is a little meh. But yes, there are skill trees. It's kind of an open world game, and it's just very cool. Much more on the, I would recommend both this and Hunted. I think this game's probably a better co-op game versus Hunted's a little bit more cinematic. But this one is just really fun. It had some solid sword mechanics, like hack and slash. I would say it reminded me of Lord of the Rings Return of the King on GameCube or PS2, Xbox, as far as the way the mechanics married to the to the feel of the character, and just the way it didn't feel like I had to be so precise with what I was doing. Hunted: The Demon Forge seemed like the enemies were a little bit more bullet sponges, versus this one, it was a little bit more hack and slash, which I enjoy. Both games I highly recommend. Both are still under $20, I believe, and I can't recommend those enough. Speaking of another game that's still very affordable, and also has an oddity we'll talk about, but this is a game that I see all the time. I think I got this for $7, and that is John Woo's Stranglehold. So John Woo, known for the bullet time kind of action movies. Never really hit it as big in the West as he did over in the East, but still has some great stuff, though I am not a huge fan of the movies. Oh, actually, maybe I am of the ones he did with Jean-Claude. Either way, this game is incredible. It reminds me of, say, a Sega late 90s, early 2000s arcade game is the way that the physics work. You know, when you're playing Time Crisis or something like that, where you shoot a guy, they fall into a barrel of oranges and they goes flying. But in this, the whole game is that way. You unlock bullet time, where it slows down and gets the guy from across in these big slow motions. And when you dive into the air, the entire world slows down and is just completely breakable, but in the funniest, jankiest way. I loved it. I loved it so much. And it's not a hugely long game. Something I could see myself beating probably in a weekend. And also, there is a collector's edition of this that comes with 2 discs, but one disc is just a movie. So it's a movie called, I believe it's Hard Boiled, which technically Stranglehold is supposed to be a sequel to that movie Hard Boiled. And the movie is in the damn case. And that's another thing I discovered when looking at these oddities. I picked up a few of them, as there are games that will just have DVDs of movies and things like that, which one we'll talk about next week or the week after. It's surprising that I never heard of it. But yeah, Stranglehold, fun game. If you don't like repetitive, slowing down, taking out enemies, over-the-top action, if you want a little bit more story or substance, then you probably won't get as much enjoyment of this game as I did. But I did. I really liked Stranglehold. One of the funnest games I've played in the 300-plus games I've played on the 360 since starting this whole thing. And really, really couldn't recommend it more. Alright, speaking of a game that's a little bit more substantive if you're interested in a story-based game, this is one that should have been a bigger hit. It's made by Capcom. It's got an interesting world. It's got an interesting dynamic hook. I do not know what happened, as well as I do not remember this game coming out at all, and that's surprising. The game we're going to talk about is Remember Me. So Remember Me, I've spoken about several times now. I'm going to keep talking about it because it does not get enough play. As a reminder, there is no manual for it. If you're looking at the NTSC release, the European release did get a manual, so do not mind if there's no manual in it. And I think you can still find this for like $15. It has the rhythmic gameplay of the Arkham Asylum games. It has the climbing dynamics of, say, something like an Uncharted, Assassin's Creed, or, you know, one of those type of things, like the Lara Croft game. But the overall techno story that takes place in almost a Blade Runner type world, or iRobot. Basically, you have these robot type things that are around, but more importantly, her job, the Remember Me girl's job, is to erase or go into people's minds and then mess with their memory. So that early on, you'll have a girl who is attacking you. You then almost like mind meld with her, get into her memory, and then make her remember something that didn't happen, but in a way where she is convinced it did happen. And so that's kind of the hook. And in these things, you'll either have that rhythmic gameplay, or you'll have almost a interactive cutscene where it's like, oh, click this, click this, click this. You know, maybe the doctor forgets to put his scalpel away, or maybe something falls on the patient's foot at the right time, or maybe someone was about to catch a baseball or a globe and it hits the ground and shatters, and then that causes them to yell at the other person, and then the other person now has this memory of them being yelled at, and now suddenly they're really upset with their spouse, even though they have no reason to, but now they're willing to help you kind of blackmail their spouse or something. Like, I did not play this game nearly enough. I played Ashura's Wrath right after this game, and I actually beat Ashura's Wrath because I enjoyed it so much. But Remember Me, I highly debated doing that, and then it's just, oh yeah, really, really fun. So much that I'm looking forward to checking out on this. Like I said, the rhythmic gameplay of it, there are combos you can unlock. There are combos that I think you invest points in. There's a lot of that kind of thing in these type of games, but it's just one that, pick it up. You will not regret it, and the fact that this game is so cool and nobody talks about it. It's kind of like Singularity, you know. There's fans. It's a cult hit type thing. Check this one out. All right, speaking of games that I was surprised I enjoyed so much, there was a game called X-Blades, which really just it was not good. It was just TNA the game, and so there was a pseudo sequel called Blades of Time that I assumed was going to be more TNA the game, but this actually was surprisingly competent, almost like they learned from the first game and then decided to make it a game instead of just Hot Girl Simulator. And with this one, don't get me wrong, you're still Hot Girl Simulator in this, but there's actually some substance to it. There's a cool gameplay loop where you can basically be in a fight and then you can pause yourself, you can rewind. So if you're attacking enemies for a minute, you can pause, rewind, but then that version of yourself will proceed and still attack the enemies as what you did, and then you can then be going and working with your copy. And allegedly, I believe you can do this several times, if not unlimited times. So where you're playing an encounter where you need to hit someone from the front and the back at the same time, you can do that. Or then you have someone who's coming from the sides, you can do that. There's big boss fights. It's very much, it reminds me a little bit of God of War 2018, because once again, it's over behind the shoulder. There's a lot of these behind the shoulder games. Hunted the Demon Forge is that way. You know, at the time, I really just thought of Gears of War and the Resident Evil 4 onwards, but there was other people trying to do this. And Blades of Time is surprisingly fun. There's also not just gunplay, arrows, I think. There's also swords. There's different upgrades you can get. There's a magic system that will interact with the world, almost Metroidvania-like. This is a surprisingly deep game, especially when you consider that it's the spiritual successor to X-Blades, which is not a deep game whatsoever. Check this one out. Highly, highly, highly recommend this one. And I want to say, I think it got up to around $20, $25. I think it's still floating around there somewhere. When I originally got it, I did just get it with the game, but I did manage to pick up the manual for like $2, which was nice. I mean, you can do that. Unlike other systems with Xbox 360, it is not the hardest thing in the world to find a manual. Especially right now, though, just buy the complete copy. That way you don't have to regret it. All right. Getting down to the last four here, another game that I spoke about the very first Xbox 360 video I did, and I have not talked about it since, is Alice the Madness Returns. Now, apparently, American McGee tried to get a third game either kickstarted or interested in or something like that several years ago, which I didn't know, as well as when this game came out. When I spoke about DLCs you should grab, it actually came with the original game that was PC only, that was free to download. And it was free to download until the damn store went under. If this game is still available for the Xbox One store, you might still be able to get that as a free download. So some inside baseball there. It says it comes with a manual, but the manual, I believe, is just a little insert. The larger manual for this game is actually on the disc. Now, I don't know much about the American McGee Alice. When I played this, I actually was doing QA testing for Electronic Arts, but I didn't work for them. It was like a temp thing where I worked there for 3 weeks and then was done. And largely, they just had these people play through the game and provide feedback. I did that on this game. I did it on Shadows of the Damned. I did it on the Mass Effect 3 ending change, and then I did it on Syndicate. Alice, this game was probably the one that I enjoyed the most, though the one drawback I had on it is I thought the second world, the water world, lasted a little too damn long, but I did enjoy the combat. I liked it more than when I did, at the time this was the second one I did Shadows of the Damned first. And I really enjoyed it. It had a fun disparity of gameplays in between the world segments. You would almost have a a side-scrolling shooter type thing. But it's just really fun, and for the longest time, even before I was collecting for the 360, I would always look for a copy of this, and it was always around $30, and it never had a damn manual in it. And finally, I just broke down and picked one up, I don't know, 2019, 2020, something like that. I think I got it for $30. That's right around where it still is to this day. It's never largely jumped huge. Maybe during the FOMO, it got to around $40, $50. But it's a game that is a cult classic, just like the original, and is fun. It's a fun platformer. That's what it is. It's not a collecting fun platformer either. I mean, it might be, but it didn't really, I don't remember it feeling that way. The different weapons you get, like the pepper grinder, Gatling gun, the Vorpal blade. There's even a collector's edition apparently that came with a real Vorpal blade, which is cool. I think that was the thing that American McGee talked about and then mentioned about how, hey, stop asking me about the third game. But it's a fun game. Do I wish they continued the series? I don't know. If they did, I'd probably buy it. But also, I'm one of the problems because I didn't know they were trying to gauge interest in a third game because I don't know. I liked it, but not that much. All right. Now, the one racing game we're going to talk about here is one that is very, very cool. And it's interesting. There was a lot of games like this in the 360 era where it was almost meta to make the game within a game. You know, the Stuntman kind of does that too. And this game is called Split Second. And with Split Second, it is a very cool dynamic game where when you're racing, you can do drifts or you can unlock points. You can do things that then will allow you to almost, like they do in Call of Duty, you can affect the landscape. You can affect the way the landscape in the game is affected. So you can have a plane come and crash or a building fall over or things that will affect the other players and won't affect you, or you can get out of the way so that you can get a leg up in the race. And instead of relying on just boost or things that like burnout and do them, and surprisingly, not that many people have talked about it. I think this is a really fun one. I got it for around $20, and of all the racing games, this one and Blur, I probably like Blur more, which I probably should have talked about Blur today, but Split Second, really, really solid. Highly recommend checking this one out too, and pick up Blur too. That game's basically like modern Mario Kart. It's super fun. I'll talk about it if we do this again. All right, last two. This is one that is more or less just a Oblivion type game, but it's not made by Bethesda. It's not Oblivion. It's got a female protagonist that, you know, it might look like a horny boy game, but it's not. It actually has some substance, and that game is Venetica. So Venetica, I think, only came out on the 360 and the PC. It might have had a PS3 version, but it is very much like an Oblivion type game, whereas you have a certain power level, the enemies have a certain power level. When you kill them, you can harvest their corpses, but there's a little bit more of a through line in the story. There's a linear progression you can go through, and to be honest, I enjoyed it. There are choices you can make. There's a big sacrifice at the beginning of the game. Like, you kind of know where this is going. You're playing as essentially like the farmer's wife, but then the farmer's wife picks up the blade as the thing of destiny, and it's fun. As much as it doesn't sound like a fresh take, because we get so much of this now, when this came out, it does still feel like a fresh take because it doesn't have the rest of 2025 behind it as far as the writing, this and that. This still has solid storytelling. Makes sense. It's an interesting game. I enjoyed playing it when I did. It is janky as all hell. Do not expect as janky as Oblivion can be. This one is worse, but it's fun. It's definitely fun, and one that I would like to give some more time and actually beat the damn thing. I think when I got it, it was like $20, $30. I think it's still around there. Definitely pick it up. And then the last game we're going to talk about here, which this is probably the most niche recommendation, but also this game got up around $100 plus, and it's definitely going to get up there around there more, as when people who pick this up who like it, they are never getting rid of it, and I'm one of them. And I think now it's back down to like $40, $60, and that game is Culdcept Saga. And Culdcept Saga, it is so hard to explain what this game is, and if you're not willing to give it a shot, it's gonna undersell how much fun it is. Because if I tell you it's a card-based game like Magic the Gathering where you build a deck, it's like Monopoly Mario Party, where in each match you will be in sort of a map, like a Mario Party map. But unlike Mario Party where there's like 4 or 5 designs, in this game there are like 30 designs. And unlike Mario Party, there's red, blue, green, and yellow squares. The red, blue, green, and yellow squares will correspond to different elements, where if you drop a monster who has that element type on that square, they'll be more powerful and they'll earn you more gold. Now, it's not like you can't play a water territory, a water beast on a red square. It's just they won't get the same level of multipliers. And then you get multipliers by having sequential squares, as well as you'll get multipliers by having more of blue. So if I have 2 blue, instead of it being worth 150 gold, it's worth 300. And then the other thing that happens is that the gold and the power that you need to beat the level are the same thing. So when you get $200 for passing go, that $200 is also used for beefing up your monsters. So you can make them, instead of a 1-star monster, it's a 5-star monster. And then when the two of them face off against each other, the one drawback is that the AI is always knowing what you have in your hands versus you. You have to remember what's in their hand. And they'll almost always counter you, or will use what's in their hand to counter you, given the circumstance. So you need to remember things like that. And I can get into this more and more. I love Culdcept Saga. I played 70, 80 hours of it last year. I picked up Culdcept Revolt on the 3DS, which is a lot more beginner friendly because it doesn't have the same obfuscation of not knowing what's in your opponent's hands. But this game is incredible. Do not be turned off. I'm not a Magic the Gathering. I'm not a Pokemon card guy. I played it back in the day. You know, but this game is so cool. I would make it more akin to a kind of a turn-based or a tactical RPG in the way you disperse on the map, as well as you can build strategies or things like that in a way that maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should be playing these card-based games. I just don't have time for it, and in this, it's kind of all self-contained in this game, as well as once you beat the campaign, you're done. Don't try and go for the full gamer score in it. Some of the trophies are incredibly hard to get, like having all 5 of the dragons be on the board. Not only do you have to have all the dragons in your deck, but blah, blah, blah. Anyways, it's great because there's moves you can make where you can then on your turn go and move one of your characters into an adjacent square. You can have people be a hard counter. You can do, like, there's so many cool things in this game. Upgrading the land, upgrading the beat. Well, anyways, fun. If this at all sounds interesting to you, pick it up now while it is cheap, as it has been in forever, because it is so damn good, and I will definitely talk about it again in the future. And there you have it. There are 10 games you should pick up for the Xbox 360 before the prices go up. Like I said at the beginning, thank you guys so much. I can't believe we keep growing at such a clip. You guys have allowed me to talk about the Switch, the Xbox 360, PS4, anything, really. It's so incredible to have you guys having the algorithm spit it out, or even searching in your feeds. It's nice that I'm there. Like I said, happy Halloween to all of you guys. I would love to have done a Halloween style video. One thing I will talk about, I'm not shamelessly plugging this, I don't get anything, but I love the Haunted Halloween games. 85, 86, I backed Full Quiet. So full disclosure, I did back Haunted Halloween 87, as I love the homebrew NES scene, especially Retrotainment Games. They make great work. So definitely something to check out. I have yet to play 87. I don't know if it's great, but if it's anything like 85 and 86, it is well worth it. So take a look at that. Though I would recommend Full Quiet over all of them. But anyways, as a reminder, I release a new video every Tuesday. It's been so nice getting a hold of you. Take care.